Welcome back. The Beyond Emissions podcast, brought to you by Soligent, pioneering solar distribution and clean energy since 1979. Oh my gosh, quite a while. Hey, would you like to be a part of us here at Soligent? We've got everything you need for your clean energy needs: solar, racking, inverters, energy storage, electrical balance of systems, electrical vehicle, EV, chargers. We have it all available right here. Partnered with the best partners in the world, making sure that you have the best options for your clean energy needs in your business. Not only that, one-on-one trainings available, not just on products and solutions, but also as well how to properly sell those trainings, subject matter in those trainings, the different subject matter that may have to do with one of those categories that you're trying to sell. We can help you with proper strategies to be as successful as possible, helping your business grow. Thanks so much for listening every single week, making us number one for renewable energy podcast in the world, right here at the Soligent YouTube channel. Like this video, subscribe, and comment down below about what you think it might take to help us create this world that is beyond emissions. It is the Beyond Emissions podcast. I'm Josh Brumm, Energy Storage Manager here at Soligent. Let's get this party started. Okay, so we're going to talk about batteries today, my favorite subject, and a brand of battery that is one of the, capital T, the most popular brands right now. If you don't know who Franklin whole home battery systems are, if you don't know who they are and what they have available, you're going to learn about it right now. But you're probably under a rock if you don't, because they are one of the most popular brands out there, my friends. So excited to have today Justin Hopkins from Franklin whole home batteries. You're an amazing company. Your team, Jaweed, see him at different shows all the time. Justin Hopkins, welcome to the Beyond Emissions podcast. We're excited to have you here, my friend.
Oh, Josh, thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure. We're such big fans of Soligent and all of you guys over there. So excited to play in the sandbox a little bit.
I got to tell you, right off the bat, Captain's Log, start date, 2024. It's May. Now, it makes me feel like Star Trek every time I look at your batteries with that light, the indicator light on the outside that shows the state of charge of the battery, where it's at in its capacity. Very, very cool. Outdoor rated, so you can have it in cold temperatures outside. So you're not damaging the lithium when charging, but it looks so cool. Forgive me, there's so many advantages to Franklin whole home batteries technology available here at Soligent, folks. Click on the link below to go to soligent.net to find out more. There's so many amazing things we're going to talk about. So forgive me for being a nerd and just immediately talking about, ooh, the pretty light. It's cool. But talk a little bit about that. It is cool, isn't it?
I'm glad you brought it up first, right? There's so many nuances and underlying things, but at the end of the day, right, batteries have never really been known for being a sexiest accessory to the home, right? Or something that when you look at, you go, wow, that looks cool. And, one of the biggest things that spread the Franklin name and brand around is that engaging light that lets people know when they leave for work and their battery, that light's down low, and they see the sun out and they come home from work, the end of a hard day, they see their battery's been charged, that their system did what it was supposed to. And it's just a reminder of, this investment that is actually working for them every single day, right? And one of the coolest stories I love is during Hurricane Ian, we had a homeowner whose battery was actually submerged underwater for a day and a half or so. And when everything finally had blown out, washed to sea, and his furniture's in the yard and everything was kind of busted in the house, and he got everything out, got the house dried. He said, the only two things that worked in my house were my wife and then that Franklin battery, because I could see that blue light never stopped shining through the storm. And I think that's such a cool testament, right, to the kind of resiliency that we've really and the engineering we put in this product to make sure that it works through the toughest of situations.
I love it. I love it. The proof is in the pudding, and you can see it with your own eyes. Go to Franklin's website now. What's your website? Share it with our audience.
Yeah, real simple. It's www.franklinwh.com. So the W stands for whole home. So FranklinWH.com.
That's pretty awesome. One of the biggest misconceptions out there, folks, again, Justin Hopkins, Franklin Whole Home Batteries with us, available. Get Franklin today from Soligent. Go to soligent.net. Here at the Beyond Emissions podcast, thanks again for joining us. Appreciate it, Justin. One of the biggest misconceptions when you talk to a homeowner, and this is very common, right? They all think that they are whole home customers, and then they may or may not be, but maybe they use 100 kilowatt hours a day, and they want to be whole home backup during the summertime. Well, you've got to size that correctly. Let's talk about some of the misnomers, because not everybody needs the product for whole home backup, but it sure is nice that it can be sized and scaled to offer that, right? Talk a little bit about that. Some of the nuances, of what makes it a emergency load backup versus a whole home backup customer from a qualification standpoint.
That's a great topic, because there are so many different types of designs to cater to different customer needs. And, with a whole home backup, right, what you really need to be able to do is access your whole house, right? Not necessarily every appliance. If you're in an area, let's say where I lived in Southern California for many years in Manhattan Beach, we often had outages, but they never lasted for more than a couple hours, 3 hours. And so, the worry of, me be able to run, my air conditioning unit all night to survive, did not require, I didn't really need that right at the beach. What I needed was a basic system that could keep my internet, my fridge, the lights in my house, so I could comfortably navigate my home, keep those things running. And so, whole home can often mean just being able to use all of your house, right? The whole area of your house, instead of a small few breakers that have been backed up in a certain part, right? So whole home can mean a lot of things. It can also mean living off grid, right? Essentially, or grid agnostic. So we have, hundreds of systems that literally have zero grid connection, and these customers run 100% off solar, batteries, and a generator. So the nuances are many, but I think you've got to look at a few important factors. And these are typically listed on the stats, right, of the batteries. You've got your output, right, which is how much power do I have to run my appliances that I need to run. You have your capacity, right, which is how much power can I store and how long can I run those batteries for. And we've seen a big resurgence, right, of more output, higher power, and lower capacity. That can be problematic for customers that might be, say, in Texas, where the outages have a tendency to go for days or even weeks in a cold storm. Capacity is going to be really important there, sometimes even more so than output. But for a customer that's trying to just run their AC for the 45 minutes that their power goes out, and they may not need a ton of capacity for time. So it is very nuanced, but typically capacity is going to equate to savings and runtime, and output's going to equate to how much can I run in my house, how much amperage can I feed. So those two things are going to be very essential. And we opened up the whole home conversation, I think, really with our smart circuits, which were the first of their kind, which allowed homeowners to bring in those larger loads, larger appliances like an air conditioning unit or maybe an old washer and dryer, or something that they would only want to run while the sun is out, or they would want to turn off automatically if their battery got too low. So we've been able to allow a little more nimble control of the whole home environment with these smart circuits, which allow you to use the rest of your house, just not a couple of the big appliances.
Yeah, and that max power capability, max discharge capability of the Franklin Whole Home battery system available here at Soligent. Friendly reminder, folks, we have it for you. That max discharge capability is great because of, like you mentioned, the motor loads in the home that may have a surge with more inrush current, like that air conditioner as an example. Having a battery system that can output more amperage, triple, quadruple, or more, for anywhere from a few milliseconds up to maybe 3 to 5 seconds, you need to have something that can handle that. Max discharge capability of the Franklin whole home battery is phenomenal. In addition to the big gas tank, right? The big energy tank. What is it? 14 or 13.5 kilowatt hours?
Yeah, it's actually 13.6.
Okay.
So from what I understand, it's one of the largest standalone batteries that are all-in-one product on the market. We don't often tell people we actually have, there is more power in the Franklin than disclosed. But that's because we save power so that in the event the customer accidentally drains the battery all the way on that 13.6, if the sun will come out the next day, you still have power to start the inverter. And this is an interesting fact, Josh. I was just training like 400 sales guys in a big like Marriott type conference room, and I asked the question. I said, who here thinks that when the power goes down, the reason your solar system doesn't work is so that power doesn't go back out to the grid and shock the line workers? And Josh, how many people you think raise their hand?
Oh, all of them, because if I was just sitting there, I might raise my hand as well. Yeah.
Right. Assume it, right? 99.9%. The reality is the reason your solar system doesn't work in an outage is because that inverter that runs your solar panel requires power, right? Requires anywhere from 100, couple hundred watts of power. And if your battery is drained and does not have the ability to turn that inverter on, then your solar system is not going to come on. So that's something that we've focused on, is making sure that in a multi-day outage, inevitably when the zombie apocalypse comes, that you're able to continue to charge that battery and live sustainably off-grid with energy freedom.
Energy freedom, energy independence, and also preparedness for the zombie apocalypse. Franklin whole home batteries available at Soligent right now. How exciting, man. Obviously it's not zombies, but anything could happen. There could be a situation. I heard the other day that Director Wray of the FBI came out and said that there are Chinese hackers and bad actors, basically from within the Chinese Communist Party apparatuses it's not apparatuses, geese, ducks, whatever. Anyway, apples, oranges, however you want to call it. At the end of the day, they got some squirrely folks that are behind the scenes inside of our mission critical systems here in the United States. And according to Director Wray of the FBI, W-R-A-Y, Director Wray, he mentioned that we had to be prepared, that there was potentially a big attack of some kind on our infrastructure and our critical systems. And it could come at any time. This is chatter they're hearing, and it just is what it is. We have enemies out there that want to hurt us, whether it's someone in China or anywhere else in the world. At the end of the day, we have adversaries out there that are doing this. And we have folks, good guys on our side, that are also protecting us and letting us know, hey, this is a risk that's happening. If the grid goes down out of nowhere, there's people out there with food. Depending on what time of the year it is, there might be, issues with the climate, temperature, stuff like that. And there's no cooling center if there's no power for people to go to. We're talking real mission critical. You, yours, and mine, our family, right? You and your home, right? So we got to take care of ourselves and have water and food and a plan, right? And isn't that kind of energy independence also an amazing peace of mind to have a technology like Franklin in that situation?
Well, you just nailed it on the head. And this likens me back to, there are so many variables, right? Whether it's weather events, whether it's government interaction. That big freeze that happened last year that ripped through Arkansas. We actually have a client who's got customer who has a few batteries on his house on the side of a hill. I think it was 2 actually, and he's got it hooked up to a generator. And thankfully when the panels were buried in snow, and 110,000 people were without a power. He said that the blue lights from the Franklin were shining through the forest to the point where people thought that aliens had landed in the trees and were literally with backpacks and guns and everything else walking through to try to find this light. They, come to his house in the woods, and he's like, by the end of that evening when the power went out, we had about 11 people sitting around a fire, making plans for how we're going to get through this freeze. And that's that kind of infrastructure, that kind of peace of mind. It's not just your family; it could be your community, right? So the impact, we look at an island like Maui and what they went through last year, and now the Ohana Hope Village, providing these batteries to homes, and these people are moving back into their houses. But now these battery power, they all have solar. So, it means it's more than just protecting you and yours, right?
Yeah, exactly. Love your neighbor as yourself. And during a crisis, we're going to depend on people not just being super selfish and only caring about themselves. As a society, we're going to need everybody to stop and go, okay, take a deep breath, love your neighbor as yourself. Let's get through this, right? And
right.
If you're prepared for yourself, what is it when you get on the plane, before you can help anyone else, you've got to put your mask on? So in a sense, this is kind of the same philosophy, right?
Right, exactly. I mean, listen, utilities aren't going to be doing us any favors. And, it's a hole in your house, right? It's a non-equitable payment where money goes out the door. So the sooner homeowners can realize that, okay, I can invest in infrastructure that protects my family, adds net present value to my home, eliminates a cost, it starts to feel a lot less expensive and, hard to get around. But I do think that, with all this new technology, there's so much to look at that homeowners don't necessarily know, like, what's really right for me. They're leaning on the voice of our industry, right? And the salespeople and these people to really design these things the right way. And so we're just trying to make it easy for them, right? Like, let's take your service entrance right now. That's a 200 amp panel or a 125 amp panel that your utility has complete control over, right, at any given point in time. And let's replace that with a gateway that is kind of like changing the locks on a bad X, right? There's a way to literally press a button and shut off the relay to the grid if you choose to do so. And so to have that kind of infrastructure, I think we're finally moving in the right direction where these systems can actually do what we've always wanted them to. That's what attracted me to Franklin when I came here in the first place, because I've been in this industry 16 years, and I've installed more bad battery systems than I'd like to admit.
Yeah, that's honesty right there, folks. That right there is who you want to buy from. Someone who's willing to tell you where they went wrong and what they learned from it and now what they're doing right. That is the kind of humility that we want to buy from. I always talk about Justin Hopkins here with us from Franklin Whole Home Batteries, available at Soligent, folks. Go to soligent.net. Find your nearest rep near you to get a quote today for Franklin Whole Home Batteries. We can put together a training for you as well, one-on-one. But that kind of integrity is so important, Justin. I mean, not just for us so we can look at ourselves in the mirror, but think about it. I always talk about this when we're buying from someone. Let's, as an example, go get my oil changed. And you got the guy that walks up with the air filter, and it's not even dirty really yet. You just changed it a month ago. And they should have it on their little record, if they really kept records on you, that you just changed it last month. Hey, do you need your air filter changed? I don't know. You're the expert. Do I? I don't know. Shove it in my face. Well, no thanks then. And then I go to a place and the guy pulls the air filter out, a different place, and blows it out and shows it to me and goes, "You're fine for right now. We'll check it next month." Awesome. I trust you. You're not trying to screw me over. So in a month or two, when that guy says, "Hey, you need a new air filter," you think I'm even going to bat an eye or question him? No. You've got to be able to trust the people that are advising you. And too many people out there, red flags all over the place, are just coming in with a clipboard, making a quick sale. They're not advising you. They're just trying to close.
Oh, we gotta talk about this for a minute, Josh, because this is the number one problem with our industry. And I will be the first to say, I have a feeling that this industry sometimes created 500,000 jobs for a few 100,000 people that should have stayed out of work
Yep.
in the first place. And so, and we've seen that, right? And it's coming out in the Time articles, it's coming out in everything else. The reality is that Franklin realized this really early, that the voice to that we are not the voice to the consumer. The installers are the voice to the consumer. And the customer UX is going to come from the installer user experience, right? The installer can easily work with this product if they can master it, if they can figure it out without having to spend hours on the phone on hold trying to commission things or whatever. If it can be a simple process, then it's scalable. And then all of a sudden, right, we've protected this industry that was stumbling through a really tough period with these batteries early on. And I'll reference Pink or whoever you want to, right? We've been able to kind of figure out that, okay, the best experience in the industry for the reliability that people are looking for, we need to teach a man to fish first. And instead of just shoving, buckets of fish and then, hey, more coming next week. So we are actively training every aspect of this industry, whether it's the engineers drawing these things up, whether it's the salespeople, creating places for them to go, get more educated, get more familiar so that the customer experience will be improved.
That's it. And it's full of integrity. And I don't mean like that as a buzzword. I mean, literally the willingness to say, you know what, I was wrong there. I learned from it. And here's what I'm doing moving forward. And that's the kind of integrity. When I heard that come out of your mouth, that's exactly the direction I wanted the conversation to go, because we really need to be training people how to sell storage properly. Too many people get into it for the quick buck and they don't sell it properly. And then they oversize or undersize. That's no excuse though, folks, to not be successful, because Soligent, go to the Soligent YouTube channel, Storage Webinar Series, or email me, storage@soligent.net, and I'll connect you with a one-on-one training with Justin and his team at Franklin Whole Home Batteries. I mean,
absolutely.
In a heartbeat.
That's my favorite thing. Yeah, we love training, right? This is the sandbox. This is why we made this product. Can't wait to talk to you guys about it, right? That's the exciting thing of what we do. But this industry, right, we gotta water more trees. I always think about it. I grew up in Oregon, right, and orchards everywhere. There's this apple tree, and I remember walking past a tree with my grandfather, and I saw, there's a bunch of apples hanging. I just reached up to grab one. He goes, "Oh, whoa, hold on," right? He's like, "Did you water this tree?" He's like, "Think about it, right?" He's like, "That apple's not ready yet. That needs another week and a half. Let's go find one that's ready," right? And he pulls it out and he pops it, and it was perfect, right? And we didn't waste any fruit because that other apple would have gone bad, right? And the reason he was such a good steward of this was because he's the one who watered the roots in the first place, right? He's the one who had grown those apples. And so we need to treat the lifetime value of the clients that we bring in, these customers that you spend so much money acquiring, and start to think a little longer, right? We don't want to commoditize them. They're not just fruit to be picked off a tree, right? These are gardens to be watered. The lifetime value of these customers, these homeowners, are going to be with you for 20, 25, 30 years if you do it the right way.
Yeah, and trust. You earn that trust. And they can tell, juxtaposed to somebody who is just there for the quick buck, when you come in with a consultative approach instead, there to help and advise, not to sell. It's amazing how your sales go through the roof when that happens, right?
Exactly. You nailed it, Josh.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. You got to be like a doctor. When you go to the doctor's office, a bad doctor, you walk in the door and they don't even ask you a question and they throw the pill bottle at you. Here you go. This is what you need. Wait a minute. Where's your crystal ball? How do you know what I need or I don't need? And that happens a lot in our industry. So becoming an expert, if you will, and that doesn't mean you have to know everything, but I will tell you the design for the components and quality, et cetera, and technology for Franklin Whole Home Batteries. Available again, folks, at Soligent. Go to soligent.net to find out more. The design and technology and quality and chemistry, lithium iron phosphate, longer life, more safer, a better way to say it. But you know what I'm saying? Like literally there's a lot of advantages there, and it's really easy to sell because it's not one of those systems that has 5 different, 6, 7, 8, 9 different little SKUs. I got to remember, I got to have this kind of breaker. No, I got to have that kind of, like, what do you have? You have the battery, you have the A gate, I mean,
I mean, it's
simple,
you got
right?
two parts, right? So, yeah, you walk through the suite of products and you can kind of list it off on one hand, right? You've got your A power, which is your all-in-one battery, right? It comes out of the box, an off-grid functioning battery. We test them all at our manufacturing facility before we send them out. That's why we have such a low failure rate. And again, none of the installers, you don't have to put these things together on site. So it's coming out of the box. Now, I will say the one objection we've got with our product, and this is common, is that it is 400 pounds. So it is heavy to move around, but we've actually made some of the newer products a little bit lighter, and we've got a dolly we made, makes it easy. But with the right equipment, these things are just as easy to move around as anything else. So, and I always joke, like when I was a musician in my past life, and bunch of guitar amps, and the best ones I had weren't very big, but when you went to pick them up, it almost took your shoulder out of the socket, right? Power product's so heavy, right? And people need to know, like, we made this product overbuilt and redundant for a reason, and it's heavy because it's good. But so you have your A power, which is your battery, all in one unit, and you have your A gate. That's our gateway, smart gateway design that has the smart circuits. It's a 280 amp bus bar. So from a capacity side, you could, on a 200 amp service, you could actually go all the way up to almost 45 kilowatt of solar with using our next SKU, which is our AP box, which is a relay that allows you to add on additional solar that may be oversized for the battery system so that you can use more of the solar in the morning when the system isn't maxed out, but then eliminate the extra solar that would overpower your system during the peak points. So you get a nice flat curve of charge all day, right, and maximize your charging potential. And again, that is also great for tying in retrofit systems. So one of the things we've realized in the California market is people that might have gotten solar and got EVs down the line, we can now take that power, right, from their system that's set up with net metering and prioritize that to net meter every kilowatt hour, right? You're not going to lose your round trip efficiency from the bringing that system into a battery. It's going to credit you at your max potential. And then your new add-on system that might cover that car use that shot your bill through the roof. We're now going to operate off of that new system during the day, support the home loads, charge the extra power with the battery, cover you during the expensive time of use hours. And now you've got this massive credit you can use to charge your electric vehicle at nighttime. So, the AP box can also help bring in an old system and tie it in with a new system. So if there's an outage, you get to use both for whole home backup, which I really think is a really cool product. And we basically made it so that we could work with anything out there, right? You bring that AP box in, I can tie in a solar edge inverter with an end phase inverter and put them both into the Franklin and operate that thing off grid with no compatibility issue.
That is awesome right there. Every other brand out there goes out of their way to not allow for mixing and matching and compatibility like that. But you guys thought about that ahead of time, knowing full well that the market is crowded and all of these pre-installed systems, many of them orphan systems, because a lot of the companies, those folks we were talking about with the clipboards, they're out of business now. And folks are realizing, gosh, I need to add batteries, and they could very easily tie in the Franklin, right?
Yeah, and the old equipment doesn't work with the new equipment necessarily with these manufacturers, right? So we were talking with a large national installer that's like almost $1 billion a year. And, they were referencing kind of the three majors, right, in the industry. And what I said is I think that podium has 4 spots. And I say that because there's not a battery in those three majors that works with all the three majors. Think about that, right? Like in the event that somebody is retrofitting or wants to add future technology, right? We've got $1.5 trillion coming down the pipe in the next 10 years in innovation and energy resources. And it's not all going to be solar panels. So, the ability to work with a solar edge or an Enphase or even a Tesla inverter and go into the Franklin and then, right? I mean, listen, if you can get grandma to run on a gerbil wheel fast enough for it to generate 240 volt, you can put it through our generator module. So it's as far as being able to bring in other power sources.
Hurry up, Grandma! Come on!
Come on!
Get moving! My screen's flickering. Hurry up!
Right. Step on it. So, that's it. So, right. So the A gate, right, that allows you to bring in all these different power sources, PV, solar, wind, electric vehicle, all these good things, and manage off of this huge bus bar, right? And that has a ton of capacity. And so that's, SKU number 3 is our gateway, or is our AP box, your gateway, you have the battery. Then we have the generator module, which is for generators, right? So there were often jokes that, we used to work better with Generac than Generac for a minute there.
That says a lot, folks.
And so, yeah, but Kohler, Sprague and Strat, right? We even work with 240-volt portable generators. It's not going to automatically turn on like a standby would, but you can still go out in the storm and, fill that baby up with gas, charge it for a couple hours, and then sleep in peace.
And part of the reason why it can charge up so fast is because of that C rate, right?
Exactly. The generator module is just a little piece of advice for those installing generators and Franklins out there. A good rule of thumb is 10 kilowatt per A power on the generator side, by the way. A lot of people ask us that all the time. It's nice to get a good nugget in there.
Awesome.
Yeah, if you've got a 3-battery system, like a 30 kilowatt Kohler or Generac generator, that thing is going to be, like we said, we go back to the zombie-proof analogy. So it's, again, all these different connectivities are going to result in really important energy management. And we're seeing, I don't know if you're watching the world's scope, but we're talking $1 a kilowatt hour, if not more, in places like Sweden, Norway. Like, energy is really expensive where it's hard to get. So as this grid grows, right, areas like Iowa or whatever where energy is 9 cents, 8 cents, might not financially be feasible, right? But these utilities also have to rebuild their infrastructure. And now we're seeing utilities that go, well, these storm events cost us so much money every time they happen that we just want to put batteries on people's houses. It's cheaper than us going out and rebuilding our grid. So homeowners are going to be able to take advantage of some amazing incentives that make this really cost-friendly and be able to basically design, take their house and completely island it, right? Make it grid agnostic, which is the term I prefer.
I like that.
The grid's there if you need it, right?
Yeah, the grid is now your backup. And I got to tell you, some of your competitors have come out with this, lowering the upfront cost of the deal so that people, takes kind of the sting out of it, so it makes it more viable by, taking out the ability for the battery to provide backup. So it's only self-consuming. I got to tell you, forgive me, I'm not a big fan of that strategy. I'm not saying it's not a strategy for some folks, but at large, I think it's not a good strategy because of psychology. I think 99% of homeowners, they're already tripped out when the grid goes down. Why don't they have power from their solar panels with no battery? You got a battery on the wall, they're going to be really not happy about that. I mean, you've got to go out of your way to really talk someone into that. So whoever thought that was going to be the at-large model, I just don't know what they were thinking. I knew from day one that was not going to be a big, huge winner. It's short term, it's a winner because people are talking people into it out there. But how many people are going to have an outage and be pissed off in a year whenever that happens, right, Justin?
Oh my gosh. I mean, we already seen it, right, with this last outage in California. I was talking to one of my installers up there in Sacramento who did a ton of those, and I think he stepped down as CEO actually because he was so distraught about the homeowner experience. The other thing we got to look at is really capacity with these kind of cost down grid tied systems. A lot of people aren't putting enough capacity to actually store the energy that they're producing and avoid just dumping that power back to the grid at no return. So we see a lot of people getting 7 kilowatt solar systems with 10 kilowatt hour batteries. Sorry, folks, that is a very poor design. That 7 kilowatt is going to generate 40, 45 kilowatt hours some days. And unless your customer uses 80% of their energy between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m., that customer is going to have a significant liability, right? That's why we always say, 13.6 kilowatt hour, that's almost $5 a day in PG&E territory.
Right.
And at peak, right? So for every battery you add, right, you're essentially avoiding $5 a day of energy support.
Right. So $5 a day, I mean, we're talking on average 5 times 365. That's $18.25 annually. Hold on. Forgive me for being the math nerd here. Justin Hopkins with us from Franklin Whole Home Batteries. We're doing a little quick math here. Okay, and then the life expectancy, how many cycles is expected for the Franklin Whole Home Battery at 80% DOD approximately, Justin?
Right. So we do not have a cycle limit. We have a 12-year warranty that guarantees.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about warranty or limits. I'm talking about life expectancy, assuming assuming one cycle per day. Assuming one cycle per day, because that's how I tell people to size it. Assuming one cycle per day, about how many cycles should the battery get before it's at 70% of the original capacity? About 8,000?
We're looking at that. About 8,000 exactly.
Okay, so 8,000 divided
years,
by 365 is 21.91 years. So 21.91 years of life times $1,825 at $5 a day savings per battery. That's a lifetime savings, not accounting for your 30% federal tax credit of $39,985.75 at that $5 per day number. That's pretty good, dude.
That is a heck of a return on investment. And like I said, the utilities are doing our job for us in terms of creating the value proposition. We just have to help consumers understand a little better the nuances. And, I always say, we talked about the factors that make that you decide on choosing your battery, right? Your output capacity, UL, can it go inside or outside, chemistry, how's it going to last? And then I always include cost as a really important factor. Franklin is a premium product. We understand that there are brands out there right now trying to commoditize our industry. They're assuming that homeowners don't know better, that the 12 years of technological innovation just wipe it off history, and let's just go back to string inverters, which is, with high interest rates, it's kind of necessary for a lot of people. So we understand that. But we also know that this industry, I've been in this 16 years, right? We've had a few different peaks and valleys. And when we react to these peaks and valleys from an innovation standpoint, that is a problem, right? So from our technology, we're staying robust. We understand that certain people, believe in the DC play, but when you look at the way commercial utilities operate and commercial grids operate, it's all AC connected, right? It's redundant. It's a lot of BOS. It's a lot of wiring, a lot of work to get it set up. But once it's working, it's much more reliable. Right. So from our side, right, if homeowners can stomach a little bit more of the upfront cost, obviously when you're talking about that kind of warranty, those kind of yield, the savings that results from that is exponentially more than maybe trying to save $5,000 or $6,000 on your system right now.
You could get this solution right now, folks, at Soligent. We have Franklin whole home batteries available. AC coupling, versus DC coupling, that's what you're talking about right there. I want to throw this out here, folks, and forgive me for being somebody that just has this pet peeve. It just drives me crazy. So it's more about semantics than anything. It's just making sure that we're calling something what it actually is. Franklin whole home batteries is an AC coupled battery solution. It is not an AC battery. So, folks, you need to know. Just be smart about this. You're here to learn, so I'm not trying to be rude, but I hear it constantly, Justin. So we're educating you, right? I didn't know this when I started, right? So we're all learning together. And thank you so much for joining us today with Justin Hopkins, Franklin Whole Home Battery here at the Soligent YouTube channel, Beyond Emissions Podcast. All batteries are DC. All batteries are direct current. All batteries are DC. I'm going to say it one more time. There is no such thing as an AC battery, but there is such a thing as an ESS or an AC coupled battery solution, but that's a function of the inverter or, that part of the system, right? Talk a little bit about how that works, because I know AC coupling and DC coupling really confuses folks.
Oh, that is, what a great, great topic right now. And this is probably this conversation's never been more relevant than right now, right? Half the batteries are AC, half the batteries are DC. Which do you choose? So self-awareness is important. So, let's talk about efficiency first, right? A DC is always going to be more efficient, right? We're taking the power. We're not converting it. We're not changing it. It's just flowing through. And so, oftentimes you're going to get 10% more power out of a DC coupled system, right? But that creates some issues, right? Because that DC coupled system has one inverter that the power is flowing through from the panels and into the battery. right? And then it's being managed as a that same inverter is discharging that power back to your home. And that's a really big job for that inverter. Especially if we've been doing this for any bit of time, we know that inverters are about 90% of our service calls. So, taking that into consideration that the customers rely on a single DC inverter to get an extra 10% power out, are we getting 10% less reliability? I would say it's a lot more than that. So with AC coupling, right, you've got your inverter and your solar over here, and that's its own little system that generates energy that connects to your gateway. And you have our AC coupled battery that's going to bring that power in, send it back to the battery. You lose a little power, sends it back through to your system. That's a lot of back and forth, right? And there are losses associated with that. However, that also means, right, and I like to look at it this way, is like if I twist my ankle while I'm out jogging, at least I can get myself home, right? I got my other leg. I've even got two hands I can crawl on. But if DC systems, like if I go running and I twist my ankle, I no longer can move. I am stationary there till somebody comes, picks me up, put me in a car, and drives me back to my house. And that is the reliability concern for homeowners, right? We really believe that for, adding an additional inverter gives you an additional level of protection. Adding the solar panels are commodities now. I see guys buying them for ridiculous prices. Adding a couple solar panels is going to make your system more efficient, make up for that efficiency loss, but it's also going to give you more yield, right?
I have a crazy idea about panels. You just said it. It's a race to the bottom. It's like
Right.
if you're building houses, it's like focusing on the nails. Then there's more nails in the house than probably anything else, right? And screws. But the reality is all of that part is the guaranteed for sure part that's going to happen. And so it's the commodity, get it as cheap as possible. And don't get me wrong. Not all panels are the same. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying though, is from a sales perspective, you start to realize that side of the business is turning into a race to the bottom. It's a commodity. So you can't control that. And if that's the crux of your business model, you're going to go down the tubes. No offense. I'm just being honest. Justin, back me up if you think I'm right, but I think I am. And storage is where your profit's going to be. I've heard it a million times. We make money on solar, red line, so much per watt, blah, blah, blah. We don't make as much on batteries. At the end of the day, I think you could make more on batteries than you can on PV. Am I wrong in that, Justin? Forgive me if I am, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, no, when you look, I think if you look at the capacity for more upgrades and more opportunities to expand your customers' profit levels over time, right? If you're trying to make the maximum money right now and get out of the business, that's one thing, right? But you got to consider that, you're putting these things that have 25-year warranties, you're given 10-year labor warranties, 25-year labor warranties. Panels they just generate energy, photons, right? They'd be able to easily replace panels as long as you have a good system. Now, we start getting in DC, that becomes a little more important, right? I got a string inverter. I got to make sure all my panels match. I can't replace one with another one that's different in the future. So, I 100% agree with you. And listen, if you build a house with a bunch of rusted, crappy nails, what happens to it in 10 years?
Not good.
Right. So, either way, right? Every little bit of the things you need to kind of identify where you can be profitable, where you can be successful at the benefit of your homeowner. Because listen, entrepreneurs are born of solving problems. So we're not putting Band-Aids on problems.
Right. Right.
So,
and that's what we're here to do. We're here to solve at the end of the day, the consultative sales process and focusing on, on not just being transactional. You're going to have a long-term success by investing in people, not just trying to make a sale and move on down the road. This is a long-term play. And if your business wants to be successful for the long term, that's exactly what they need to do. They've got to change their mindset when it comes to the sales forces out there and how they're talking to homeowners, and do it the right way. There's really only one right way to do it, and that's the consultative approach. of being there. And forgive me, I know we've been talking a lot about everything under the sun besides just the battery technology. Franklin Whole Home Batteries, Justin Hopkins with us here at the Beyond Emissions podcast. I just really feel that, your insight as to strategy and mindset, there needs to be a paradigm shift towards that long-term play, treating homeowners like people, not just like cattle that they're herding. And in your trainings, do you go into some of the sales strategy as well? That folks, we can get you a training with Franklin Whole Home Batteries here at Soligent. Email me, storage@soligent.net. We'll make that happen. In these trainings, do you go into sales strategies as well, not just the technological side of things?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we need to help our industry avoid snake oil, right? And focus on, why they got into this thing in the first place. And the Franklin's a very exciting product. It's had tremendous results. You've got, 11,000 batteries deployed. I think there's only been less than 20 have ever come off the wall. So it's an exciting product. So when we're talking to homeowners or to salespeople, a lot of times I'll ask them right at the end of the session, like, hey, who here wants a Franklin on their house, right? And usually it's an overwhelming number of the people in the room, and they raise their hand. It's as simple as asking them, like, why? What did I just tell you, and what makes you want this, right? And they'll list it off. And that's the value, guys, right? You just all nailed the head. You found the problems that you wanted to solve in your life, and this product solved it. And so speak to your own experience of why you would want this. Like, that's that self-awareness that we need. Don't just recite stat sheets. Don't just say, oh, look at this rack battery. It can do this and this and this, and it's only $5,000, right? Look, you got 40 kilowatt hour. It's like, yeah, but they've got, there's 1,000 of them, and 400 of those systems that are installed don't work, right? So we have to be very, very careful, right? Not to sell off the stat sheets. Sales strategy comes down to, your confidence will derive from conviction. We at Franklin, whether it's our service, whether it's fixing a problem for our installers in the field, we've literally dropped people out of helicopters to get them to job sites to fix things for people. So I think people understand it's more than just a product, right? Explain people to sell is you're selling their experience and what they're going to do, but that's going to require you to be there for them.
How big can the energy tank get? What's scalability like? How many kilowatt hours can we scale it to?
Thank you, Josh. I was hoping we'd get into this. Yeah, so the Franklin battery is the most scalable residential battery on the market. I have yet to see anything from any of our competitors that's even close. We actually can, so every time you add a Franklin battery, it gets more powerful, right? If I've got one battery, I've got 5 kilowatt continuous, 10 kilowatt surge, which is good for like whole home as long as you're not running any large appliances like air conditioning unit or anything like that. But once you get into 2 batteries, right, now I've got 10 kilowatt continuous, got 20 kilowatt surge. Once I've got 3 batteries, now I'm operating 15 kilowatt continuous, 30 kilowatt surge. That goes all the way up to when we get to 8 batteries, you're at 38 kilowatt continuous, 76 surge. And from there, we can add even more capacity up to 204 kilowatt hour. That's 15 batteries on a single 200 amp service.
204 kilowatt hours. By the way, folks, forgive me for saying this because I'm going to step on my own foot. Square footage is good for sizing carpet, so forgive me for saying this, but I have a 2,000 square foot home. I have a 2,000 square foot home. How much? No, seriously, I have a 2,000 square foot home, and my my average kilowatt hour usage is about 40 kilowatt hours per day if you take my annual average. But during July and August, it can be 90. And folks, when they're buying whole home backup, it's vital that when you're designing this battery system for them, that you're designing it for, if they think they have whole home backup and they want to run it, all day long in case there's multiple day outages in Northern California because of fires or whatever. Those examples do exist. And, if you're sizing that whole home backup based on their annual daily average, which mine would be 40, and then all of a sudden, you come into July or August, you have a multi-day outage, and you think you have whole home backup, but they designed it on your 40 kilowatt hours per day usage, not your 90. Now all of a sudden you're going to have a different scenario. Your battery's going to be low and you're going to be wondering what's going on. So it's important that when we're sizing whole home backup, that we're sizing it properly. But like you said earlier, managing the loads as well. Load management built in was Franklin Whole Home Batteries. Justin Hopkins with us, Franklin Whole Home Battery here at the Soligent YouTube channel, Beyond Emissions. Was that load management system, the ability to shed loads, etc.? Everyone's trying to jump on that train. You got smart panels out there, span, etc., but this is something that's built into your system. Were you one of the first adopters of that to actually integrate that?
Yeah, we were the first battery to bring this into play. Our product entered the market April 2022, so only a couple of years ago. And when we brought it in, I think it was kind of confusing to people at first, right? Like, wait, I can do what? I love the span panel. I'm a big fan. I think it's a great product. I'm a big fan of Lumen. All these guys, everything they're trying to do is so important to the future of technology. That being said, right, consumers aren't necessarily ready to run their house energy off their phone. So we tried to simplify it a little bit for the basic homeowner, right? Kind of like giving grandma a golf cart with a fuzzy steering wheel instead of a Ferrari for Christmas. Give them the right.
Grandma, I had you up there on the hamster wheel running my computer. Now get in the golf cart with your fuzzy steering wheel and go down and buy me some cigarettes. No, I'm just joking.
Thank you.
No, I just turned 47, and my wife the other day, she pulled up a post, a meme, and it was like a note, and it was like, please give Johnny 2 packs of Benson and Hedges. Thanks, Mom. And we laughed our butts off because I'm from the 80s, and I used to go, I remember having a note being sent to me to Bob's Grocery around the corner for my dad for Marlboro Red. So sorry, it just made me laugh.
Oh, I know. Thank you. No, I'm glad you caught the call back. And my grandfather used to do the same thing to me, man. But except that his store was at the bottom of like a 2,000-foot hill. So I'd go down. I had to walk back up this huge hill with his cigarettes for him.
Both ways. Right.
Right. So the smart circuits, right? This is the real innovation. And I'm so excited because we have our new A-Gate coming out too. And so what we've done with these smart circuits, guys, is think of it as this way, right? Like I'm going to use an example. The perfect example of it is Monkey Island in Florida. Have you ever heard about this, Josh? Monkey Island?
No, I haven't. I've heard it in like Thailand, whatnot. They have a lot of monkeys. They're thieves, those little monkeys, right?
Oh, dude. Yeah. They've got a bunch of spider monkeys on this island in Florida, and they're like a protected, thing. And so they bring the monkeys to this island because that's kind of keeps them safe. No, they can't get off the island. But they will if you get too close with your canoe, right? They'll like try to tip it and stuff. But anyway, so this protected, island of monkeys. I remember the contractor, May Electric, Billy May came to me and goes, all right, here's what we need, right? We got an air conditioning unit, little 1.5 ton, 1 ton AC. We've got lights in the treehouse. And then we have a camera that has to run 24 hours a day, right? So that we can monitor these things, make sure they're okay. So we programmed up the battery so that the AC is programmed into the smart circuits to shed at a certain point. So that at least the AC turns off when the battery gets a little low. Lights stay on until about 20%. Then those are programmed to shut off. That way the camera is always backed up and never loses power. So it's a great example of kind of how those smart circuits are used in a very simple application. But those monkeys are living the dream, man. they got AC, they got lights, they got a camera running, and it's a really cool thing to kind of see that at work for not only humans, but our beloved fur creatures out there.
Right. I know. Creature comforts for real, man. And not only that, I can imagine, like, instead of bringing back the real world on MTV, they'll bring back Monkey Island. That's awesome.
I've actually watched that. So.
Me too, especially if I could see in the distance, I could see those blue lines on your Franklin Whole Home batteries through the jungle. Oh, what are those?
Right, we'll encourage all the people out there, if you're visiting Florida, I think it's Venice or something like that, if you're going through that canal there and you see Monkey Island, look for the Franklin battery. it'll be shining bright for sure.
Oh, and perfect way to end it. Circling back to how we started. How freaking cool are those Franklin whole home batteries with the laser light, man? That is so cool.
Oh, man. Well, Josh, thank you for making this so fun and exciting, because I got to be honest, man, this has been such a cool conversation, and I hope we can do this again.
Likewise, we'll have you back, and I'm looking forward to working with you. Not only did I meet an awesome professional that I want to work with and recommend to you, the listeners. By the way, Justin Hopkins here, Franklin Whole Home Batteries available here at Soligent, here on the Beyond Emissions podcast today. I'm so glad you're here, but I also made a friend, man. Cool. I'm glad.
Yeah,
well,
exactly. You got my cell. Call me anytime, buddy.
Yeah, let's stay in touch, man. Well, yeah, and he'll be back. I promise. I'm going to get him back on. Thank you very much, Justin. Before we let you go, though, please let our listeners know what's the best way for them to contact you. And obviously, they can do training through us, get your product through us, but you like that direct connection, and so do I, with the customer. So how can they contact you? What's the best way for them to get in touch?
Absolutely. If you are looking to schedule a sales training, get your team set up, you can email myself, justin.hopkins@franklinwh.com. You can also email my strategic support manager, Maria Cornejo, which is MARIA.CORNEJO, and at franklinwh.com. And we would love to schedule a training, schedule a product overview. We've got RSMs working all 50 states. We've got batteries installed from Alaska to Puerto Rico. And we are here to, help you in your market, right? Every market's different and nuanced, whether you're working with a meter main, combo panels, or, Franklin's got an application for every situation. So we're here to not only give you a great product that, gives you happy customers, but also to help you grow in this new era, right, that we're going through.
Justin Hopkins, Franklin Whole Home Batteries, available here at Soligent. Justin, thanks for being on the Beyond Emissions podcast, my friend. Hang on the line for our engineers.
You got it, buddy. Thank you.
Awesome. Get online at soligent.net. We offer Franklin Whole Home Batteries available right here at Soligent. And if you'd like to get one-on-one training, ask me some questions about it, get connected. You get in touch with me at storage@soligent.net, and we'll make sure we do that. Thanks again for joining us. Make sure you comment down below so you can be a part of our ongoing conversation about what it's going to take to create this world that is beyond emissions. Thanks for joining us here as well. Like, subscribe, Soligent YouTube channel, as well as all of our learning opportunities, storage webinar series. By the way, I'll be doing a webinar soon with Justin and his team to spotlight Franklin on our YouTube channel. That'll be coming up soon in a few weeks. I'll talk with Justin about that in a moment. So we'll get that dialed in for you, as well as creating like a video that we can do on our YouTube channel so that you can learn more. Excited to partner with Franklin Whole Home Batteries. Excited to offer these solutions to you through Soligent. Thanks for tuning in and making us the #1 renewable energy podcast on planet Earth. We're saving our Earth. We're making a difference one day at a time for the economy, for real people out there, and for our environment, creating a world that is beyond emissions. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure, again, don't forget, if you'd like to listen to our past episodes on demand, experts from around the world, tune in on demand and learn more about what we're doing in this clean energy revolution. Soligent, pioneering clean energy distribution since 1979. Thanks for tuning in to the Beyond Emissions podcast.